In this video, I'm going to show you about Open Broadcast Software, otherwise known as OBS, a free software that you can use to live stream and switch between scenes and use various cameras and audio. And so let's jump right into it. As you see here on the screen, right now I have OBS open, but if you don't have it already, then you can go to the website, just type in Google OBS, and they have it for each of your programs. Have for Windows or Mac or your Linux system, whatever you're working with there. Go ahead and download that. And once you've downloaded it and you launch OBS Studio, it can be a little learning curve here, but I'm going to walk you through it in my setup that I'm using right now to record this tutorial with. The first thing you want to do is look up at the top. You're going to see Profile and also Scene Collection. And I encourage you, each time you start a project, that you go up here and you choose New, and you can name that whatever. I'm going to put Test on here for different setups. Then make a new scene collection also, which is going to be also Test for this example. All right, so each time you make a different one, you want to go in, New Profile. Okay, we have that. And the scene collection, which you can see is Test right here. I have others, Webinar and Example also. All right, so once you've chosen that, the next thing I want to draw your attention to is down here at the bottom. You have right here in this section, Scenes, and then you have Sources. This is where we're going to set up different scenes. Usually right now I'm running 3 scenes that I'll show you on the screen right now. I believe I can. If I switch here, I just want to show you the different scenes that I have available. I'm bringing OBS over on the side. Number one, I have the one where you can see me using my DSLR camera as a webcam in my studio. Number two, the second scene, as you can see, is when I'm recording my screen and I'm down here in the bottom. And then the third one I have set up is where it's just recording the screen. You'll notice right here what I call a little echo effect. And you see a screen within a screen within a screen within a screen. That's because I'm recording my screen right now, and I'm able to do this with my screen so that you don't see that echo effect. By dragging it off, I have a second screen over here where I'm recording right now. Okay, so that's the reason you don't see that. It gives me the ability to record my screen without you seeing that echo effect and to be able to drag it off to the side. So I do have another monitor on the right hand side. So you have scenes and then you have sources. Let's go in here and set up these like I have for an example. Number one, we're going to go in here and set up. What I do is hit the plus button down here, and it's going to come up, it's going to say scene. Now let me back out of that. Right here is already a scene set up. So normally what I do is right click, and you can go to, you can either remove it or rename it. Usually what I do is just call it scene 1, just for simplistic purposes. And what we've done, we set our first scene. All right, now that's set, just hit enter. We're going to go over here next to sources, and we want to hit the plus button as well. And we hit the plus button. Let me get my cursor. Hit the plus button. Now we want, what do you want in this scene? What do you want people to see? Well, let's just be simple. And we're going to go up here and add, let's go to, we can do several things. We'll do the audio here in a minute, but you see, usually what I use, like display capture, game capture, you can put an image up, you can put a slideshow, media source, you can play video, different scenes, text, and so forth. I usually don't mess with those too much. So let's go to video capture device. If you want to add a camera, go to video capture device, and you can create a new one or change the name. I'm just going with video capture device. When we get in here, I'm using the camera right now, but you're going to choose which one your webcam. Right now I'm using the cam link to be my video capture card to bring into the computer, and so I'm going to choose cam link. And then I always encourage you to go down to custom, and then we're going to choose the resolution, which is 1920 by 1080. I choose that. And then we're talking about frames per second. On this one, usually auto select, I just leave that alone. It's showing 60. And video format, I usually just leave that alone. Color spacing, I've seen online some choose 709 I don't really know what that does, but anyway, I'm just going by what everybody else says. Color range, I leave that alone. And then buffering, I leave that alone as well. All right, so we're going to choose that, and we're going to hit OK. Now, you don't see anything right now because I'm recording my camera, but you get the idea of how you could add that in there. Next, let's choose another scene, and it's came up, Scene 2. And we see we have Scene 1 here, but we want to change this to Scene 2. Let's say we just want to record our screen. We can go to Display Capture. We can name that anything you prefer. I'm just going to leave it alone. Hit OK. And then I can choose, as you can see here, I have two screens. I can choose to record screen 1 that I'm using to record this, I'm recording this screen right now, display 1, or display 2, which is over here on the second screen. I'm moving it now. On the screen, I'm also using OBS. I know that can be quite confusing, but what we're going to do is just hit OK. All right, so you can go from one to the other on that one, and over here you can see it's recording the screen that has the other OBS open where I'm recording there. So scene 1 would be your camera. Scene 2 could be a screen. All right, so let's add another scene. We'd go up, we name this Scene 3, and we have many things that we can choose from. A display capture, we can put an image up here. So I'm going to choose image, OK. I can browse my computer. I believe I have an image here where I've done a webinar. Hit open and OK. And we can see it doesn't quite fit the screen. I'm going to go down to transform and fit to screen. Okay, so now I have an image. And what I can do now is I can go to Scene 1, which would be normally my camera. If I had another camera, I would plug that up so I could show you. Scene 2, I'm showing I'm recording my screen. And then Scene 3, I could show a picture. And you can do multiple scenes over here. You can do multiple scenes. The sky's the limit. Number of sources. Now what we need to do is we need to add our audio. This is so important. The audio section is going to be right here. And so in order to do that, I always go in down here to Settings. And we're going to click on Settings. There's a couple things that we want to go through here. We're not going to get very complicated, but we want to give you, and I'll show you what I do to make this easy for you, is I'm going to go down to Stream. And you have, first of all, different places that you can stream to. One of the things with OBS, one of the downsides is you can only live stream to one location at a time. You could use something else, as they have on here, like Restream, to stream to multiple platforms. You can stream to YouTube, Facebook Live, or go custom. I use, at times you'd have to get a server stream key to do this, but a company, or I guess I say a software program called Caster.io to go to multiple sites. But if you just go to one site, maybe want to go to YouTube, or you want to go to Facebook, get the stream key, punch that in there. But we'll look at that later. That's something I just want to, as we're going down through here. Now go to Output. Now this works for me, and I have a bit rate, the 2500. That seems to be okay with me. The encoder I have set to hardware. Okay, and you can look at different tutorials online about that. Audio bit rate, I kind of leave that alone. I know 128 or 160 will be okay on that one. And then when you're recording, you can choose here, because you can, as I'm doing right now, I'm not live streaming, I'm just doing a recording. You can choose the path and browse and see where you'd like those placed, which I just chose videos for that to go to. Then you go down here to quality of when you're doing your recording. We want to do recording quality. Actually, we want to go to, and I've never had a problem with this, indistinguishable quality large file size. We choose that, and then go down, which I like to use MP4. It's going to fuss at you a little bit, but I've never had a problem. I won't worry too much about that. And then you get hardware and then software. This lowers your CPU usage and so forth. We could use that. That's no problem. Software there, or even software here. Okay, but usually I'll leave that one at hardware. All right, so everything's good there. Now let's look at the audio. And the audio, I use 44.1 kilohertz. So that's right here. I just leave that alone. And make sure, this is important, I need to come back to this in a minute. We're going to go to stereo, so make sure you have stereo here. And then make sure all of these down through here are disabled, each and every one of them. And I want to draw your attention to this one section right here is where we are going to choose where it says mic auxiliary audio, and that's where we're going to bring it in, our audio. All right, so we're going to just bring it in one mic. For me, I'm going to be going down here to the Rodecaster Pro stereo. That will be my interface that I'm using, my audio interface to bring this in. And then I'm going to go on down here. Everything else I don't worry about. We have here video. We have the base resolution, output resolution there. I may change that to 920 by 1080. Don't know a whole lot about that. This one I leave where it is. Okay, bicubic. All right. All right, and then we have FPS, frames per second. We got it on 30. I usually leave that alone as well. 30 is good for what I'm doing. All right, hotkeys. You can set hotkeys to start streaming and so forth if you like to do that. I do not mess with the advanced options. We're going to hit apply. And when we do that, we're going to hit OK. And now you can see down here that I'm getting some lines from my audio. Audio is so important when it comes to this. You can see right now that I'm at a good comfortable level. I'm hitting about between -15, -10 dB, and that can be kind of frustrating as I was having problems earlier with that. Let me show a few options to be able to adjust in OBS and add some effects. You want to go down here and click the little cog button. Click on that and you can go. Now this is very important. Be sure you do this. One thing, I'm glad I didn't forget about it. Go to Advanced Audio Options. And when you get in here, be sure in Advanced Audio Properties, I should say, that you click the mono button. Make sure that's clicked, because I had a problem a while back with when I was doing my recordings, I was only coming through one side of the speakers, and it was so frustrating. I couldn't figure out why my voice was just coming out of one side of the speakers. You got to go to Advanced Audio Properties. Make sure mono is clicked. All right, the rest of this I just leave alone. Hit close. All right, so I want to make sure that is, yeah, that's chosen. We're good there. Next, you can go to Properties. We're good there. Let's go to Filters. There's several filters that you can add here. You can add a compressor. Okay, on that, I'll make a separate tutorial later about how to set these. Depending on, you can add a limiter, a noise gate. You can add gain. The sky's the limit on that, and that can be depending on what you're doing. And these little eyeballs here, if you click on those, you can disable those. Those come in handy also. But there are several effects. Noise gate, noise suppression. I think on the one I'm running right now, I'm running noise suppression just at the default right now, -3 dB, and I don't have anything else set. I'm kind of using some effects in my Rodecaster Pro soundboard. Right now, I'm looking at that. I'm running a compressor and a de-esser off of that, so I'm not necessarily wanting to run it twice, but I did choose the noise suppression on this side. We can close that, and we have several scenes set here. Like I said, if you want to add separate camera angles, you could maybe have a GoPro laying around or a extra webcam that you want to show, maybe holding something in your hand or so forth like that. That would be an option as well. And so that's pretty much about everything. You can see down here at the bottom, I do want to mention the two buttons right here very quickly, is that you have, you know, the button to start streaming. Once you have all that in there, and you will get either a red right here, a green or yellow if your connection is not healthy. And then you also have the option that I'm using right now that you can go down and just start recording and save to your hard drive or your external hard drive. One of the things that you want to check, that you want to make sure you're seeing exactly what I see, is, and I like this option and always enable it, is you want to make sure you're in studio mode. Okay. Now when I'm recording right now, actually I'm in this mode here. But the option is when you click on studio mode, this is your preview window right here. All right, so we have preview window on this side where we can pop things up. And then over here is what will actually be live streamed. And so that gives you an option to go in here and fade in, fade out to the next. If I could change, like I could bring up 3 and I'm getting ready to talk and I want to bring up this picture here, then I could go to transition and I would cut to it. And then now I'm streaming this picture here as I'm talking about it. And you can choose, you can cut from it. Actually, the option here, you can go to fade to black, or you can choose fade is probably a better choice there. So we can go back and forth. If I had another scene, I could bring it up here to the preview before I transition to it. And then another thing that I want to mention, I believe that basically covers the majority of this, although it can be quite confusing. One of the things about it is you can find good tutorials online. And then also I wanted to bring up that there is one thing that can drastically help you that I would encourage you to get if you would like to switch, and this is options for churches or individuals, and you would like to switch manually, or not manually, but have it right in front of you to do it very quickly, such as what I'm doing here, and I'm transitioning and so forth back very quickly. And the reason that I'm able to do that is because I have the Elgato. If I could bring this up where you can see it, this is the Elgato Stream Deck, and you can look that up and link in the description below if you're interested in this device. It just allows you to press the buttons, and by doing so I can switch to different scenes, and it has many options, okay, to speed things up a little bit, to have it right in front of you to record, to mute or unmute your microphones, or if you have guests on, to be able to enable or disable their microphones. But I trust that was a help to you. If you'd like to see more of these tutorials on OBS or a specific place, whether it be audio or how to add different links, you can add PowerPoint presentations and so forth using this software. And so if you're interested in that and you'd like for me to make more tutorials, please let me know. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That will help me greatly. I would appreciate it. And then if you would consider subscribing to my channel. If you have any questions, I'd like to connect with you in the comments below. And until next time, this is David Toller with Supplemental Seminary.